What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning into this video. This video is going to be another review. It's going to be on my dad's 2013 Kia Soul. My dad's had this car for about 3.5 years now. This is going to be tour and test drive video. So let's go on and get started. We'll start things off as usual with the styling. And my dad and I collectively refer to this car as the box, and we do that for a reason. It is very shipping container shaped, and because of that it actually gets pretty piss poor gas mileage on the highway. Does well in the city though. It's a very cute car. The front end is quite adorable in my opinion. This one does not have fog lights. It's got a front plate holder, and my dad should put a vanity plate of some sort in. It's got side turn signal markers. I love these wheels. The wheels suit this car just perfectly. I think they're excellent. The paint looks halfway decent except for here where my dad keeps marking it up. The paint quality overall it's not terrible. Could be better, but it's not terrible. Really, there's not much to say about the styling of this car, except that it is boxy, which it is. It's very cube-like, but that transfers into room in the interior, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Moving on to the inside, you open the door and you are greeted to a sea of plastic and not very high quality materials. Normally I don't really bitch about plastic, but there's going to be a lot of that in this video, mainly because this interior has not held up very well. This car is not that old, and it's quite worn out already. See, it's worn out on the steering wheel. Looks like it's like melted up here. The dashboard is weird, warped and grainy. The glove box doesn't like fit properly. It's not a really nice place to be. Although, if you are looking for a nicer Kia Soul interior, should go with a 2014, 2015. They're just as cheap as these are, and the interiors are much better both in terms of feel and how they look. I do like these gauges. These gauges are pretty nice. Over to the right, you got a giant fuel gauge and a giant temperature gauge. Speedometer in the middle with your trip odometer and outside temperature, and a regular odometer. And then your tachometer off to the left. Turn signal stock is completely normal. Wiper stock is completely normal. You got your rear wiper on the end of it. Something that drives me nuts. In my Honda, to do the mist, you push it down. In this thing, to do the mist, you push it up. Bothers me that can't be the same on all cars. This car doesn't have much in the way of features. It's got manual mirrors. Does have power windows and power locks, but everything has that now. It does have hands-free telephone. This is the mic right here. And it does have Bluetooth in this head unit. Other than that, this head unit is completely normal. AM, FM. Does have satellite radio, but you have to pay for the subscription to that. It does have an auxiliary port. And like I said, it does have Bluetooth. And down below that, you got the climate control, which are very simple. Over to the left, you got your fan speed and recycling. In the middle, you have your different zones, which is a wheel of buttons. And over on the right, you have your air conditioning and your temperature. And then below that, a button for your heat and your defrost. Nothing confusing about that. And then below that, you've got your auxiliary and your USB. This USB will not play music. It's for you to plug in a USB stick and import files and a 12-volt power outlet. and some change, a Dragon Ball, and a pen. This car is a 6-speed manual. Shifter actually feels really good. Feels like as good as my Honda does. It's not rubbery. It's nice and affirmative. It's nice slick into gear. And it's got a ring up for reverse. Then you got the handbrake, which cable needs to be adjusted. 2 cup holders, which are actually quite sizable and really useful. A storage cubby here that's full of stuff. And both the doors have some padded material in the middle here and some padded material on the armrest here. But the door uppers are cheap plastic. You can see it's melted. It's melted over here again. And everything else on this door is just cheap plastic. They do have little storage cubbies and bottle holders on each door. And I believe on Kia Souls with more options, these speaker grills, the ring around these speaker grills could light up in various colors. But this car is a pretty base model. And I also assume that that's why this isn't actually a speaker. It's just a plastic piece that looks like a speaker. This car has definitely held up better mechanically than it has in here. And another good example of that is this seat, which is a little destroyed. Now, part of that is how my dad gets in and out of it. He doesn't really know how to get in and out of cars without destroying the seat, but better seats would hold up better to that kind of abuse. In the back seat, we mostly just got a back seat. Like, moves around a lot. Maybe one of the clips are broken or something like that. There is a lot of room back here. This seat is all the way back, and my knees are touching the back of the seat here, but I can get them back here. And there's tons of headroom. Tons of headroom, tons of shoulder room. It is actually really spacious back here. And you can see the dashboard, which I guess is relatively stylish. Moving on to the trunk. Interesting. I wonder if he put new struts on it, but the trunk is decent. These seats fold down, obviously. I have gotten a bike back here, and this floor thing lifts up for more storage opportunities. There's something in this trunk lid that rattles around. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Also, the hinges are noisy as all hell. Alrighty, let's check out the engine. Now here we come to a high point in the Kia Soul. This is the 1.6 liter Gamma 2 4-cylinder. I believe it makes 138 horsepower and somewhere in the high 120s for torque. And these things, if you maintain them, are tremendously reliable. This one just gets used the crap out of. And it just works. It just goes and goes and goes. And there's loads of space in here. It's a large engine bay for a really tiny motor. I bet you if they wanted to put a V6 in here, they could put a V6 in here. These are good motors. They make good power. They make usable power all over the rev range. I'm a fan. This is definitely... They started using this motor, I believe, in 2012. And before that, they used some 2-liter that I'm not very familiar with. Definitely go with the Gamma 2, though, if you're going to buy one of these things. You can see more of the aggressively adorable front-end styling. And all that's left to do now is drive the thing. So I will get back with you guys in just a minute. All right, we're driving the Kia Soul. And the first thing you need to know about driving this car is that the clutch is totally dead. It's probably the most difficult clutch I've ever experienced. I've never used a clutch that's more devoid of feel than this clutch is. It grabs towards the end of the pedal travel, but you just have no clue that it's grabbing. The only way you know it's grabbing is because the revs fall. And the revs fall because you're giving it too much gas. But you don't know that you're giving it too much gas because the gas pedal is also completely devoid of any sort of feel. It is an electronic pedal, and it's not a good one. There are plenty of good electronic pedals. This is not one of them. And blipping the throttle is completely pointless. There's no throttle blipping in this car. Downshifting is something you're definitely going to have to learn how to do in this thing. But with that being said, that is something you can get used to. And I did get used to it when I drove this thing quite a bit when my dad first got it. And once you get used to it, it's not too bad. Good things about the clutch, it's weighted very nicely. It's not too light, it's not too heavy. It won't hurt your foot, but it's also not, feather light like a Volkswagen's clutch. And this shifter is excellent. It's like Honda good switchgear. And the gearing is very good as well. It's very well matched for this engine. I would say that 6th gear in this feels to be a very similar ratio to 5th gear in my Honda, which is good because the gearing in my Honda is way too tall and my Honda could use an extra gear. So overall, the clutch and transmission action in this car is not great, but it's not terrible either. It could be worse. It's still better than an automatic. Aside from the clutch, the driving dynamics of this car are all pretty agreeable. It's reasonably quiet in here. It doesn't rattle while you're accelerating like my Honda. I have the AC on, and the AC isn't causing a massive power loss or extensive amounts of rattles to happen. The ride is actually pretty firm, but the trade-off for that is there's nowhere near as much body roll as you're expecting. Given that this thing is shaped like a shipping container, you'd expect it to lean a lot around corners, and it doesn't. It's really flat. It's impressive. The steering it's direct, but it's devoid of feel, which isn't that surprising. This is a car that's going to be bought by normies, and normies don't care about road feel. My dad bought this because he wanted a car that's nice and easy for him to get in and out of, and this thing fit the bill perfectly. Although he does complain about the seats being uncomfortable, but he has a wider frame than me, because I think the seats are just fine. Like I said, the engine makes good usable power all throughout the RPM band. You can accelerate pretty much all the time, except when you're in 5th gear at 50 at 2,000 RPM. And even then, it'll still accelerate, just slowly. And it maintains speed up hills, no problem. Overall, it's not a bad car to drive. Definitely could be worse. Now, I don't want my bitching about the interior and about the clutch and all that to make you guys think that I don't like this car. I do like this car quite a bit. I actually thought about buying this thing. Actually thought hard about buying this thing when my dad first got it, because I drove it quite a bit when he first got it when I was in between cars. And I really liked it when I drove it back then, and I like it a lot now. Probably not as much. I would try to find a nicer one. This one's a little beat. I would also try to find a 2014 or a 2015 one with a nicer interior. But a 2012 or a 2013 would be good as well. Just fun one that has agreeable miles. This one has 155,424 miles on it, and it's been reliable. My dad bought this with 76,000 miles on it 3 years ago, like 3.5 years ago, and he has not had to do a damn thing to it, except for oil changes and lights that have gone out and the occasional tire pressure light. And the oil change on this car is literally as easy as it gets. You can drain out the old oil without even jacking it up, and get out the oil filter without even jacking it up. And then it only takes 3 quarts of oil. So it's the easiest oil change on the planet. And these motors, they have a reputation for lasting a really long time if you take care of them. And they also have a reputation for blowing up if you don't take care of them. But my dad's taking good care of this one. This one won't blow up. Really, anything with this motor would be a good deal. The Kia Soul, Hyundai Accent, Kia Rio. I'm sure they use this motor and other things. They probably used it in like the Tucson or the Sorento or insert nonsense crossover thing here. I'd recommend the stick shift though, of course. I had a Hyundai Accent as a rental car, and that was an auto, and it wasn't terrible, but it was still an auto. It still did auto things. It still shifted when I didn't want it to, and things of that nature. I don't know. I will never recommend an automatic to you, probably ever. I'd tell you to walk before you get an automatic transmission. But I think that's all I have to say about this car. Closing thoughts about this car. This is a great car. You should buy one of these. These things are really great cars. Wildly practical. They get good fuel economy, especially in the city. They don't do that great on the highway just because they're file cabinet shaped. Tons of space inside. Really practical, really useful. Really dependable if you maintain them as you should. Really good car. Buy one. And that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you like what you saw here, please subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.